is one illusion after another. The illusion that was thrust upon me, like all other Americans, was this illusion of freedom and democracy and all this bogus stuff. And the illusion is powerful. The indoctrination process is very powerful. But unless we can manage to see through this indoctrination, what chance do we have to solve our problems? Unless we can see the world for what it is, how is it possible to solve the problem? And again, at the end of the day, how many are we and how many are those in power? We outnumber them, millions to one, when it comes down to it. So how pathetic is it that we the masses, we have all this power, and yet we allow ourselves to be continuously divided. And how do they do this? It's one lie after another, but if there is a head to the snake, it is the financial system. This financial system, which is the most fraudulent scam in the history of our world, is probably responsible for more death and suffering than any other system. And I actually thank God that the people of the West are starting to feel the pain of the so-called financial crisis. I thank God for that. And I can't wait for it to get worse and worse and worse. And it will get worse. And at the end of the day, they try and make this financial system all this parade of so-called experts and economics people and all these people, prostitutes more than anything else, prostitutes who sell their soul to try and confuse us and use us. A short breakdown, because it's not complicated at all. And there's a fantastic film online called The Money Masters. Go and Google that movie, The Money Masters, a brilliant film. There's a lot more out there as well, but I highly recommend that film. It'll take you 2 hours to watch it, but by the end of it, you will know what a fraud is being perpetuated against all of us. As we sit here in Britain, a prosperous country, or in America or in Europe, as we sit here and these powers that be, these prostitutes posing as prime ministers, as parliamentarians, as congressmen and senators, who are these people? They're nothing more than prostitutes. And who do they serve? They serve the 1%. They serve the filthy rich. They serve those people that run the financial system. What is the financial system? And everybody here, most of you are Muslims, you've got to know one of the best things about Islam is there is no usury. Usury is haram, not allowed. Probably one of the great reasons why Islam is so vilified, one of many reasons why. Why is usury haram? Well, we know why it's haram, because it's meant to enslave people. But the short story, for those that don't know the financial system, incredible scam. Money has been allocated to those at the top of the pyramid. Those people are the ones that are allowed to print the money. In America, it's the Federal Reserve. Here, it's the Bank of England and the European central banks. These fraudsters are allowed to print money out of thin air, backed by nothing. Backed by nothing. And they were given that power by our corrupt, greedy, pathetic so-called leaders, whether they're prime ministers or politicians, all of them traitors with the rarest of exceptions. They have given the power on behalf of us, who they supposedly speak for these tyrants to be able to print the money. They then loan the money. They then loan the money to the banks at interest. At interest. We pay interest to people who print money, which we could print ourselves debt-free. And yet we allow them to do this. So they print the money and then they loan it to the banks at which we own the interest. And they've had this fraudulent system in existence for many, many hundreds of years now. And this system is inherently debt-driven. The point of it is to indebt us so that we have to pay more and more taxes to pay off a debt that can't possibly be paid off. Because the amount of debt that is created from the money that is printed, there is not enough money in circulation to pay off the debt. So there will always be debt. There is no way to balance the budget. We will always be in debt. So while we're having these so-called austerity measures being played out in front of us, while education is becoming far too expensive for most working class people to be able to send their kids off to university, while our social services are being cut, systems are being privatized, and you're wondering how you're going to keep a roof over your head or a job and put food on the table for your family, we are paying debt. To who? This is the one question. The one question when they talk about the debt and the need to cut social services and increase your taxes, why are we doing that? Because we're in debt. To who? Who do we owe the money to exactly? Do we ever think about that? Who do we owe the money to? I'll tell you who we owe the money to. The Rothschilds, the Oppenheimers, the filthy rich banksters that are running this system, that our corrupt prostitute politicians gave the power to these tyrants to do. You all have not worked hard enough. None of you have worked hard enough. None of you working class people out there have worked hard enough. You haven't worked hard enough, and you owe the Rothschilds money. And they're taking away your social services, and they're telling you you need to go fight a war. In Iran now. In Syria. And what do they do with the war? They make money off of us. Again. And they send our sons and daughters off to war. To kill innocent people. To rape them. To steal their land. And all the while, with hypocrisy doesn't even begin to explain us talking about freedom and democracy. It is a joke. And it mocks all of us. And the head of the snake is the financial system. And Henry Ford rightly said, it's a good thing that people don't understand the financial system, because if they did, there will probably be a revolution by the morning. And it's true. We owe money to the filthy rich. That's who we're in debt to. They could say, we're going to wipe the debt clean. For me, that wouldn't be enough. Are you kidding me? You think you're going to get off that easy? For hundreds of years, you've been enslaving the people in your debt-driven system. And you think that you're just going to be able to wipe the slate clean and that's going to be it? Hell no. If you don't hang from a lamppost, you should consider yourself lucky for the scam that you have perpetrated on the people. And the thing is that they've got us all by this system. They control the money. It's not even paper to them. They don't even need to print the money. They can simply go into a computer, type in a couple extra zeros in an account, and someone has got money. And this system that we're fighting against, you know, I've been working on things, and the thing that is one of the greatest challenges of trying to get things done is you need money. Well, guess what? Who are we fighting? Who we're fighting has an infinite supply of money. So we're forever fighting against people who can pay every corrupt person who can be bought. And that actually explains everything about the world and the way it functions. Our world is run by corrupt prostitutes, because those that can be bought are the ones that will be given the positions of power. And ideally, we like corrupt people who like little boys or high-class prostitutes, and we like to have videotapes of them, because if you ever think to do what's right, then we'll release those videos of you with some little boy or some prostitute. Literally, the more corrupt you are, the more qualified you are to be a prime minister or a president. Literally. This is the system we live in. It rewards the corrupt, and it punishes those people who actually have some integrity. That is the system, and the head of the snake is the financial system. And until we change that system, we are fighting an uphill battle.